Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Superb Diamond Range. Today's date is Monday, the 23rd of December 2013, and today's show is going to be about marriage. So, what's your thoughts on that, Diamond?
Yeah, well, hello, viewers and guests. Hope all is well with you all. And today's show, marriages and dating, I think that's quite an interesting topic. And hopefully most will be interested in that because in our world, our home, you find most people in life gear and target at some stage to get married, which is a memorable and enjoyable time of people's lives. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this topic. And the great man like yourself, you got recently married, so I'm sure you're having some of the greatest times of your life too.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was one of the happiest days of my life, and obviously, I've actually been married in two countries to the same woman, but obviously we first got married in Italy in a civil wedding, and then we, got married over in Venezuela in a religious Catholic wedding actually. Both times were special in their own way. That it was a big thing, and obviously before before getting married, it was like very nerve wracking.
Sure, it's
Because
like,
obviously your life changes completely. You go
of
from
course,
just thinking about yourself and uh, you know living the single life to kind of being one with your partner.
yeah,
So your life sort of dramatically changes overnight, where you stop sort of thinking just about yourself and you have to think about your partner and being there for them all the time and yeah, it's like changing completely almost, I would say.
understand, superb. I understand. So anyway, going on to some of the reasons why we would get married, and in the Western world, you know, prior to marriage, a lot of people would go on dates, which is good, as schoolboys, young men, young women, trying a dating game, seeing what they like in people. Before getting married, then, before you get married, you can choose the type of person who you want to marry. Because being very, very young, we're told, let's go for the handsome man, all the money, good job. But if you're smart enough, you'll realize, it's also a bit of chemistry involved too. You get on together, share the same hobbies, do similar things. Because these days, people would meet in social events where they have similar interests. But but anyway, let's talk about love marriages, superb.
Sure. I mean, now that you mention it, I remember meeting a Sri Lankan man, and he asked me if I was married, and I said yes. And he actually asked me, "Is it a love marriage?" And I was really shocked the way he asked me it. But now I kind of get where he was going with it. I think it's obviously to do with, you get marriages that are arranged and
Right.
things like that. But yeah, I mean, love marriage is obviously, you're doing it because you're in love, sort of thing, or you're both in love.
That's
But
true.
but obviously, some people won't do it for that. They'll do it for to see what kind of benefits they get out of it. I
Of
mean, we're going to
course.
go into that more later on, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's very important if you are going to tie the knot, as they say. For you to have feelings and have emotions with that, you know, partner. And
Totally agree. Totally agree. Agree that while we were growing up at school, we were taught, in our culture anyway, in the West, that you were to believe that all marriages were all love marriages. Hence, you fall in love and you've married for the reasons of you've picked this woman or man, and then later on you realize that half the world have arranged marriages, and different people of different backgrounds would really have nothing in common with these people apart from maybe the same religion or the same class. So they marry for different reasons, nothing to do with real love, sorry to say, but it could be, someone from an upper class family would marry to keep the wealth.
Definitely.
Hence, we know there's no way someone of the ruling class would come down and marry someone from a working class background, because they see that as helping someone from a poor background, and someone from a poor background they'll see that as they're going to help their own people and friends.
Definitely.
And also religious marriages, where you would see, especially in Asia, well, I think most of them are in Asia, where in India, practically, well, nearly all of them really, Hindus marrying each other, Sikhs, all arranged. And
That's something that I wanted to raise was obviously you get these marriages that are sort of, planned and arranged by the
yeah,
family. And, obviously the children don't really get much say in who they, end up with. And they could meet people along the way through their, schooling system, or when they go to get a degree at
of
university,
course.
they could meet others that they would like to be with. But obviously it's all kind of been mapped out for them and planned, and obviously they might really want to be with someone else, but they have to be with who their parents
Yeah,
want them to be with.
because because culturally as well, their parents would have grown up in their country, which is totally different from the UK or America, where in the UK and America, people actually talk to each other. Boys and girls, they go on dates. We're over there, it's not so open.
Definitely.
We can go out in public and have, go on many dates, and no one's going to look at you any worse and think or judge you. Or whereas in some cases back there, they will look at you. This is a floozy,
Yeah,
this girl's been with so many men, and
that's
they could
right.
be just innocent friends, even just walking together on the road.
That's right.
So, yeah, they look at things, that generation look at things differently to the young generation. And, yeah, so you find a lot of the younger generation in the UK would prefer to find their own way and their own partner.
I mean, a few of them, I know for sure that I've heard stories that, the parents are relaxing a bit more now, in some
Yeah,
cases, not in all. Maybe more if they move to a new country like America or
yeah,
Canada or UK, where they, might be a bit more relaxed and let the children choose who they want to be with.
yeah,
Um,
because where does it end? The parent's role is to look after a child, make them safe, maybe make them aware and to make the right choices in life. Parents' job isn't to make decisions for them like that to get married. That is just interfering, as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely. And I mean,
You know,
that's another big thing is, you get these people that they might not be arranged, but they might choose their partner who they really, love. But unfortunately, the parents don't approve. So therefore, that a lot of the children seek approval from the parents. And if the parents don't like their partner, then, it's obviously not going to be going anywhere, because they'll
sure,
probably, at some stage just say, oh, you're not the right person for me, just because my parents told me,
sure.
Obviously another thing is, certain races will believe that they can only be with one race, or maybe
Oh,
certain
for sure,
religions want to be
for
with
sure.
certain religions.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
To keep that going also as well. You
Definitely.
know, you find like in Islam, for example, would marry cousins, um, pretty close cousins as well, mainly to keep the faith, which I personally think that's desperate. I don't think that's a good idea to do that.
Definitely.
And there's so many people on the planet, and to marry your cousin is for me is not good.
I agree. I
You know,
agree there.
I do not even like this saying that. That's horrible. And but
Because
yeah, to
I had a friend actually that he went on a trip to India with his mum, and he didn't even know about it. But it was a 6 week trip, and he just thought it was going to be a regular holiday, and the whole thing was like a setup basically for him to meet somebody that they'd arranged, and literally by the end of the 6 weeks he was married. So he came back a married man, and he didn't even know about it. Didn't even know
yeah,
about the girl. Never even knew the girl, and it was just like all set up by the mother and father. And I thought that is shocking. It's like you're going for a holiday, and then you just all of a sudden you're married. It's like you haven't even had a chance to think about it. And you're
yeah,
already
sure,
there. Your
sure.
life's sort of changed, and
I mean, I prefer to find my way in life, not for someone to keep on doing things for me like that. Something against your own will as well.
definitely.
But yeah, that's one sort of aspect of marriages where people have arranged marriages, and in most cases, they do seem to work because they do always, in a lot of cases, stay together because they do not want to be seen as failing marriages.
That's
So,
right.
for the dignity of the family and the community, there could be one of the parties getting abused, but for outsiders, it's a no-no, so they stay married. And I have many friends, Asian friends, who have gone through this where, the parents stay together and the mother is being abused big time.
Wow.
And, you know, it's not good. Not
Not
good.
at all. Not
It's
at all.
actually, it's probably better to separate.
Definitely.
There's no, it's not the end of the world. You've got more of a peace of mind to be away from that than to put up with that every day.
Definitely.
So if you look at marriages, they would say love marriages in the West. Um, there is a lot of people getting divorced.
That's right. Yeah, it's
But
something like 50% or maybe
well,
more in America. Is that right? Or
I do not know, but that's pretty high.
yeah, I mean, a lot of
But
people. Again, it's that thing where they rush into things. Again, they don't realize what they're taking on. That your life's never going to be the same again. You're going to change. They might be used to the single life, and all the bad habits that they have. They try to carry on to the into the marriage, and obviously it doesn't work out. So there's a lot of conflict.
yeah,
Um,
true.
you know, it's something that obviously some people they live together before they get married, and that can be helpful because it gives you an idea of how you both of you live, and if
Of
you can
course,
tolerate each other living together before marriage, then there's a good chance that in marriage you'll be able to tolerate each other.
that's true. That's true. Because as you know, when you're on the dating scene before marriage, things are really, really good, and both of you are so happy in love, and you cannot imagine things going bad, can you? There's no arguments at the start, and
That's right.
you know,
There's no bad things about
so
each
you
other, and
so you're thinking, yeah, you're quite in love with each other, and you're excited about the future, and you're not really thinking about any arguments or anything down the line, are you? Which
not
is
at
good.
all. Not at all. Yeah.
And these things do creep in. Um, because while all this is going on, you could be meeting for the first time, or you could be dating and not really staying at each other's house. So you could be at the stage where you're booking hotels, and so you know you, and so all you're doing is just basically taking the lady out and showing her a good time with expensive meals, and
You're
so
right.
she's falling more in love with you. And then the real test comes when you're living together. Then you got to cook yourself. You've got to clean up behind you because you're in a hotel. A maid comes in and does all that.
And I mean,
Oh,
that's right. They clean up after you. So when you're together, you can't do that. You got to clean yourself, and
that's right. And so little things might, oh, you've left that over there. You never put that in the kitchen, or
Because another big
you,
test of the marriages as well is like when you're in a relationship with each other or dating, you might be, for example, in some cases, they might have a good job or a career, and there's always a possibility down the line that you might lose the job or your career's not going quite as well as in the beginning. So things like the income of the family goes down, and it's quite a testing time, for a marriage. And if your wife is used to, say, spending, or even the husband spending a lot of money on a lot of things, and then obviously you get to the point where you haven't got as much money coming in. Obviously that's a test as well, because you're used to each other being a certain way, and when things dramatically drop or change, you've got to that's another test as well. And some people can't get through that. Some people find like money, um, you know, is a big thing in marriage, and that's why a lot of people fight over money, and a lot of people end up in divorce over
that's
money.
true. Which is sad, really, because money is man-made. Um, we should learn to be with partners and not, do things without spending money.
Definitely.
It's like three of you are in a relationship then. The
Exactly.
man, woman, and the money in the middle. Oh, we got to keep the money sweet.
Yeah,
So,
because it's such a major thing, because there's so many things you take on when you're married. I mean, a lot of people go on to get mortgages and things like that, and then they might have children, and then obviously the bills just go through the roof. And one of you might be good at saving, the other one might be a spender, and the two are going to collide, kind of thing. And
sure.
again, it's a lot of people don't think about these things. And another interesting one is joint accounts, where both of you use the same account, and one of you is sort of going out to the pub or something and spending a lot of money. And
Big
um,
spender.
yeah,
Big
big
spender,
spender,
yeah. Like,
yeah.
like me.
um,
Yeah, so it's a good thing now is that, people, we live in an age, the internet age, computer age. So people are finding their love online, and which is even better. You find a lot of international loves online. So people can search for woman for their love from, any country in the world now.
that's right. It's not,
Those that are free to do that. And
yeah, it's not like before where you'd have to go to like the local pub or nightclub, or through your work,
that's right.
settle for whoever's around. That's convenient.
Oh,
It's
that's right.
easy.
It was like before you're basically settling for someone in your own country or someone in your town. But it's even more exciting now. You can get married or date even, if you have the finance to, you can date people from other countries. You find in men dating Russian women or Filipinos or Thai women or South American, anywhere you like. And yeah, I find it very good, very enjoyable meeting people and learning from women from all over the world. But
Because obviously that's another thing that I'm not going to say speak for all, but women from, say, other countries, the way that they might treat the man could be different to how they get treated in other parts of the world. Again, it depends. There are exceptions to this
yeah,
rule,
you're
but
right. Yeah, because I'm a firm believer now, of the way the country is mapped out, that the country of where you live makes forms your opinions and makes you how you are. Like the culture, like in a way, like culture. And I look at the UK and most Western countries. They're not really family orientated places, and so
definitely,
they're not
definitely true.
really into families or true love. Even the women too. Sorry to say, I'm not saying all, but there's a lot that would think of their career first,
That's right. I agree
and
with that.
And if they meet
Materialistic
at
as well in
oh,
this part of the
very,
world. Yeah,
very materialistic.
yeah. It's more important
And
the the handbag and the shoes than true love kind of thing in a way.
yeah, I was dating this lady years ago, and she once said to me, I'll never forget this line, Superb. She said, my parents from the Caribbean, they loved each other and they had to live together because of the income. And she said to me, I'm in a position where I can, be with someone, but I don't have to live with him. I can buy my own house. I thought, what's the point of that? I thought marriage is to share,
Definitely.
you know, and a lot of women have this kind of view. And, I've met a lot. Like I say, I'm not saying that about all because, the type of people, the type of mindset we're into, the women would be like us anyway,
Sure.
into natural life, natural law. But
Definitely.
in general, a lot of them would be going with the flow of everything. Christmas is coming, the sales are here.
Because
They can't see past their nose.
I mean that's obviously another thing about marriage is when you before the marriage, during the marriage you could kind of almost always be the same, but there are times when you can change dramatically. You might come onto knowledge that you never had before, and it makes you curious to gain more knowledge, and your partner might not be into that knowledge, and then you're starting to change. You're starting to realize everything's false around you, and you're
Yes,
trying to learn more and adapt to it and try and change yourself. But obviously, they don't want that. They kind of want you to go back to how you were before. Just concentrating on the job, paying the bills, doing everything by the book, basically,
yeah,
because it's less hassle. The hassle-free zone, as
yeah.
David Icke would say. Um, but yeah, to me, it's like you got to be prepared for change in marriage. Where you could all of a sudden one day wake up and be completely different to how you
Well,
always were.
that does happen because in a lot of marriages, for example, you may find, a couple married, and then one day the man changes. He might take on a religion, and the
Exactly.
woman's not into that.
That's right.
So would the woman or would the wife be expected to follow him, even though in her heart she's not feeling that at all?
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah, because I mean that is quite common. It's like that belief that the man is the man of the house, and you've got to do as the man says. But that's not very free, way to be.
no,
I mean, ultimately, it's not right to force another person to to your ways. If they want to do it, if they want to join you on your in your quest or your religion, then that's okay. But you can't expect them to do exactly what you do, and what you. And I mean, people wonder why they end in divorce, but I think that's another reason. Is like you put so much pressure on the other partner
yeah,
to do what you want them to do, or they do it to you. And I think ultimately, you got to be free within the marriage to be able to have your own beliefs and your own ways, and just like love each other no matter what, as they
of
say.
course, of
Yeah,
course, of course. Yeah, because they do say the woman or man married you for who you are then,
exactly.
and that you say they might say you've changed or she's changed, and you're not the same. So could that would you say that's something to be worked at? Because
Definitely.
if the love is still there, but one of the parties has totally different views and the other one just cannot accept it, would you think you try and work at it, or if there's no sort of agreement, do they separate?
I mean, it is pretty common for people not to even work at it now, and just head straight for divorce. But I agree that you should definitely work on things, and I mean another big one regarding like why people get divorced as well is obviously if you are into a career, a lot of your time's been taken up in the career. I can give an example of somebody I know that worked for government in another country over in South America, and basically they worked very closely with Hugo Chavez, before his death, and this guy was like a journalist for the government, so he would just report everything that they tell him basically, and he came over to Albion for a trip, and unfortunately he was just always thinking about work, like a workaholic, just checking his laptop to see what was going on in Venezuela. And it was really sad, like that. He went there with his wife, but all he was thinking about was work all the time and what's going
Yes.
on back there. And apparently, like when he was working 7 days a week. He was getting up really early, coming back really late. When the president wouldn't eat, he wouldn't eat. If the president wanted to talk all night, he'd have to listen and stay until the end. So it was really sad. Like that
Yeah.
the career was more important than his
Sure.
marriage and his wife, and
Because yeah, it's because career is slavery. Even though I'm doing it too, and nothing to be proud of. But you
definitely,
gotta you gotta find something that is honourable
definitely. I mean, I,
and
I, I
something.
believe that people should make the most of rest days and days off from work.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you're married, you want to spend more time with your wife or your family, your friends even. But a lot of people, their whole life is just a job. It's like focusing on.
Would you
Uh,
say, yeah, would you say that people they do all this overtime, but they will turn around and tell you that they're not really happy?
Definitely, definitely.
And the most valuable thing we have is our time, and we're giving it away.
Yep, it's no price on your time. You know,
Exactly.
yeah,
We're
that is
giving
the
a,
most valuable thing.
the most precious thing we have, which we cannot get back. And, people just think of overtime and mammon, which is the god of money.
Because you hear a lot of people on their deathbed, as they say, ready to pass over or move on from this body, and they always say that one of their regrets is working so hard and not spending enough time with their family or their wife or their friends, and to me that's really sad. Like, but it's sad that you realize at the last moment when you could actually do it today. Instead of
Exactly.
working 7 days, why not work 5 or 6? If you have to work an
I
extra
mean,
day.
I would work my backside off if it meant helping the community, helping,
Definitely,
if everyone was
yeah.
being looked after.
Common goal, like working
Exactly, a
towards a
common
common goal.
goal, not just working for myself and thinking, oh, I've got this in my pocket, I can go over there now and sod the rest of, you lot. Working has made people selfish. So, well, the schooling system as well.
Definitely,
That was their goal to make people independent, selfish, no common goal. The only common goal is when you're voting or in the military, you you gang up against another set of people who have done nothing to you. But anyway,
yeah. It's very shocking. The way that a lot of people don't realize that, like we said, that time is one of the most valuable things we have, and to enjoy the moment and enjoy your life. Work should really be, if you have to work, it should be a small part of your life. It should not be consuming majority of your time. If it is, you need to step back and take a look at,
exactly.
people wonder why they don't know who they are, but the reason is because they're too busy working, slaving,
Well,
basically.
if you said to the average man or woman, you said, "Who are you?" They would describe themselves as their job.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
definitely.
this. I'm a postman. I'm a doctor.
Yeah, occupation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're asking them who they are. They're telling you the occupation,
Well,
and they take the occupation so serious is that they put that above the flesh.
definitely. One of the big ones in definitely in Albion at the moment, obviously in marriage is immigration is a big thing, and there's a lot of money in it. A lot of people have to pay thousands just for the so-called right to live on these shores.
Of course.
What's your opinion on that, Diamond?
Yeah.
Immigration for marriage and stuff.
That's very, very true, Superb. And unfortunately, because of the situation of Albion, there is a lot of money in this land still on these shores, and so you're finding people from all over the world wanting to come here. And I do not blame them because everyone has the right to work. As I see it, they have the right to work wherever they like. But we're
Yeah.
held back by these stupid things called passports and these things that have blocked us from because you're born in one country, it makes it harder to go to another place.
Definitely.
And people tell you, oh, you're lucky because you're born over there and you got this sort of passport.
That's right, red
And
passport, as they say.
exactly. And so yeah, some people, I feel for them, but they do in their desperation to come here to work, they will find people to marry who are who are resident of the land,
That's right. Yeah,
so that they'll work away to
because
marry,
because
live together.
a lot of Asian like people that they actually describe Albion as they call it Great Britain. They always call it the Great, and a lot of them their dream is to move to this island. If not, they'll go to America, and ultimately when they come here, the first thing is arrange money. Get lots of money together, mammon. But
Yeah,
then later on, it proceeds to be all about the red passport, and many of them are legal as well. And it takes them a bit of time, and they get solicitors involved or whatever. But eventually, they can change illegal to legal. Even though I don't believe in any of that anyway. I mean, that is all nonsense anyway. But it's the fact that you have to pay through the nose, and you have to, um, there's so many conditions, and you have to prove yourself so much just to live on this land.
of
And
course.
it's just shocking that the lengths people will go to, and the solicitors as well. A lot of people bring solicitors in when a lot of the time you can do the paperwork yourself for free. But a lot of them they have this belief that the solicitor sort of ensures that they will definitely be accepted or be allowed to live on these shores or this land. Sorry. Um, so to me, it's just really, really crazy the way that it's running. Um,
It's sick.
and then obviously you've got the European side, which has this right freedom of movement, but a lot of Europeans don't take advantage of it. I mean, not too many people from this island really choose to live in another European country. Now you're starting to see more people coming over. I mean, obviously you've got Eastern Bloc, you've got the Spanish coming over now, which is good. I mean, I believe we have the right to live where we choose, and but yeah, I mean, to do it for marriage is just insane.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why the people from Albion do not move to other countries, sorry to say, is one reason is they like this place too much, and they have no sort of knowledge of another language.
Definitely.
Because as we were growing up, we were taught, I think, English, of course, and we taught a bit of French and Spanish. But you know, my memories of learning that was literally a few lessons, and that was it at a young age. And we weren't really pushed for that. And we find that most European countries they push them. So
Definitely.
they have the advantage. You know, the-
Because when you travel as well to like foreign destinations, we're pretty lucky in a way that many of the people speak a second language like English, so we can actually have that as a fallback. But if we ever went to a land where no one spoke English, we'd be in big trouble, and we'd have to get a translator or an interpreter.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. And one thing about Albion is you do not really have to speak English. And you can get by quite well,
definitely.
even in employment too. So
That's right. Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that just come off the plane and find work straight away, and never really mix with uh, original people of the land that speak English. So they just stay with people that speak their language from their
yeah,
lands, and so they're not really integrating, but at the same time they're as you say, they're getting on, but without actually learning the language.
yeah. Because I guess they're quite lucky because as Albion has most of the cities and are sort of people from other countries. So
Right.
let's say Southall would be an Indian community. You go to Slough, it'd be a Pakistani community or Muslim community. And you go to Ealing, you find a lot of Polish people there. So you can blend in quite easy and settle there, and you'll feel at home wherever you go
Definitely.
if you choose the right place.
Because I've always wondered why people they move all the way to this land, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with enjoying your own people and the language and the culture and having your friends, but you would think that they would one of the reasons they would move is to integrate and to meet new people, and or not just people from the land, but other foreigners that live here as well. But
Yeah,
it seems that they prefer to just stay in their little communities, little groups, and nothing against that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's good that they get together. Instead of just being on their own, they do create these groups. But obviously, it's good to be open to everyone.
yeah,
Not just be you know with your
yeah.
own nation. So divorces, Diamond. What do you make of that?
Um, I think that's a sad way to finish, of a marriage. But I do believe if the marriage is not working, you got to split.
Definitely.
You find in religions like the Catholics, I believe they say there's no divorce.
That's right. You got it.
Well, in the Philippines anyway. But is it the same in the UK also? Is that a Catholic thing where they say there's no divorce?
Yeah, I mean,
So you can annul.
that's right. Yeah,
And so, yeah, why pretend that a marriage is great if one of the parties is violent,
sure. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
you know, for your own peace of mind, you got to go, and for
Sure.
your family too,
It's understandable. It's a good,
and
it's a good way out, I guess.
for a, a church who has nothing to do with your life to say, okay, there's no divorce. Who are they?
Exactly.
You know, they do not live with you. You might go to the church maybe Sunday, or if like most people in say UK, every time there's a funeral, but they might get married in a church. But really,
Because I have known families or couples that they've been married and the love's just gone from the marriage completely, but because they've had children, they'll stay together, like put on a pretend act, just because they've got children and they don't want to sort of divorce while the children are growing up, kind of thing,
yeah,
because they think it's damaging to them. So they sort of pretend for like maybe 10, 20 years. Then obviously when the children are growing up and they've moved out, then they'll start separating properly. And in some ways, I respect that they do it for because they don't want to upset the children. But again, it's not really being true, and it's if you're miserable and unhappy, you don't want to keep that going. So it's better to arrange something to than to sort
yeah,
of live a lie, basically.
that's true. When you
Um,
say that love goes, does it sort of go totally?
I
or
think
just
in some cases you could say it does, but again, it's like what we talked about earlier. It's when they first get married, probably it's very very good at the beginning, and then a lot could happen, in the next few years or 10 years. So it just really depends on what they've gone through. Every case will be different, I guess. It's all personal, but um, I mean,
that's
I knew a young man that I think he was from the Philippines, and his he was like Christian, or his wife was Christian, and he was telling me that he would go back for trips to Philippines, sometimes without his family and without his wife, and he would he might have affairs, and his wife did find out about the affairs, but because she was a Christian, she sort of said, "Well, I can't get divorced, so I've just got to kind of accept it, or
yep,
move on."
yep.
And I found that was really, really unbelievable. That over a belief that she, and this was not like a one time thing. It was often,
Yeah, I
So
suppose if he's treats when he's back home, if he treats the wife really, really good, the family good, but his weakness is can't control his urges, and but you find a lot of men like that, and you'll find a lot of married men who stay married, who treat their wife really bad, and show no love, but the wife would stay with him.
you're right,
And the man who has the affairs but shows love to everyone, the family as well, is probably better off.
definitely.
It sounds a bit controversial. It will be interesting to hear what people say about that, but at least the wife would probably you should probably know she doesn't like it. She knows what he's doing, but she knows in the end he's a good man. He provides, and
I
he's still
mean,
fun to be around.
obviously, part of being married is that some people would say that you go off the market. So for people that don't feel that they can stay with one person, and they you can't, as you said, control urges, then obviously marriage might not be a good thing for them, because they might break a lot of hearts, down the line, and that's one of the things that people don't think about. It's like they might enjoy the single life, being meeting many different women, but obviously when you're married, you're supposed to be devoted to one woman. So therefore,
But
you
then
again.
saying that, when you say devoted to one woman, that's as you are taught, because there are tribes that have marriages where the man has many wives, and also religions
It's
too.
true. It's a good point. Yeah, maybe I'm just taking it from the Christian point of view, but you're right
So,
though. There is different takes on it.
and but yeah, I would agree with you still.
I mean,
You know,
even in the Bible, I think marriage can be like having sexual relations with a woman. Like, so in other words, if you have an affair, it's like you're getting married. It's like
yeah,
so you've been married with the state, in the church or whatever, religious, and then if you have an affair, it's like you're getting married again, but in a different way, kind of thing.
yeah, true, true.
Um, so yeah, it's pretty pretty big thing, but
Yeah, that's true. Because when you are doing that, you are sort of giving yourself away.
definitely, yeah,
You're
definitely.
giving your whole body and inside of you to someone. So yeah, that is a serious thing.
And I mean, obviously, if you feel guilty about it and you feel it's wrong, but you done it anyway, I mean, you'll know yourself whether it was what you should have been doing or not, by how you feel afterwards, or
That's true.
what about honor killings, Diamond? What do you make of that?
Well, honor killings mostly due to sorry to say, we're not picking on you, but happens with mostly the Asian community again,
Sure.
where the and sorry to say, it's always a poor woman that gets killed. I've never heard of an honor killing where a man gets killed.
That's true. That's
So
very
the poor
true.
girls in these cultures always seem to be, the ones who get the bad deals.
You're right.
Treated as less equal, where man and woman are equal. And honor killings are mostly due to, for example, a woman's married and she may have an affair,
Sure.
or she may uh,
Not be happy in the
not
relationship.
not be happy in a relationship and do a runner, and she's found and kills,
Wow. It is
or even
pretty shocking, I think.
or even turn down a marriage.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I've even heard that. So you find also now in the UK there are a lot of sort of refuge places for these kind of women, battered women,
They've got like these
which is
foundations now for them as well, where they can call them and contact them and
yeah.
get
So
support.
they get support and rebuild their life again. Because a lot of these women are really, really abused emotionally.
It's amazing to think that they actually sort of lose their family, like i.e. their parents, their relatives, over it as well. It's like obviously a lot of the time they get murdered, but
Yeah,
if they do manage to sort of get help and get out, it's like straight away that the whole family's they're cut off from them. And I mean, obviously, you
sure.
wouldn't want to really be connected to a family that wants to kill you either, as well. So in a
No,
way, sorry to say, but I think it's a good thing
I
that they
mean,
do break away. Because
yeah. I
they
mean,
mustn't love you if they're going to try and kill you over that.
for just imagine like a mother or father trying to kill a daughter,
It's really
or
unbelievable.
getting, they're the ones who's supposed to be protecting you.
Yeah,
Just go, just goes to show that not all, but a few of them haven't really got the children's best interest at heart.
definitely,
They want to control their lives from cradle to grave, where
definitely.
their job is to make sure they're safe and they show respect. And seriously, they don't need to get involved in who they love, who they marry.
I agree. I mean, it just shocks you as well that they. It kind of reminds me a bit of satanic sort of ways as well, because you hear these stories about you they would have the baby and then they would sacrifice the baby.
Yeah, sure,
So again, it's the
sure,
child
sure,
being sacrificed, but later on,
sure.
just because they won't play ball or go along with the marriage that they've arranged. And interesting that it's to do with the family name, the surname as well. That the honor of the name.
Yeah,
Which is something that we could discuss another episode.
sure.
But yeah, definitely very interesting that reputation. I mean, obviously that's another one with divorce as well. Is a lot of people don't get divorced because they're afraid of you know how they'll be seen. About their reputation and
Well,
but
that's it. That's it. That's the main thing. That's why the stats show that their marriages work. When really, the old generation, a lot of them aren't really happy,
you're right.
and you find in the young generation coming here are getting divorced because if you're unhappy, then separate, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Definitely,
Your happiness and peace of mind is more important than a stat,
definitely, yeah.
something on a piece of paper. So, you can divorce and you can marry again or date again and be happy. But, I find one thing what people should realize is, a lot of people who get arranged marriages, sorry to say, seem to have no choice. But when you're looking for love, first love yourself.
Definitely, definitely.
Do not find or do not look to get anyone to fill a gap in your life, because you need to love yourself. Then that love will shine out. Then you can attract people.
Of course,
Otherwise, you're marrying someone because you're unhappy. They think that man or woman will
fill a
make them
void.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then when he goes to work or somewhere, or if something happens to him, she'll be sad again. So, you do not need to depend on anyone to show you love. You need to love yourself
definitely.
from your heart and mind.
Another side of it that we haven't really tapped on is it's quite a commercial thing, marriage, in terms of obviously, it's to do like it's like a business almost in the sense that you've got the certificate, the marriage certificate. You sort of getting married not really to the man or woman, say it would be to the piece of paper, to the state.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
And just gonna ask what your thoughts on that are, Diamond.
Yeah, because your life is a business. Everything you do is a business transaction. Sorry to say, but it's true. When you're in the system, that's why some of it is none of your business, as they say. But getting married, you're marrying the state, as you know, because you're paying.
Later on down the line, if things do get, as they say, messy, you get the lawyers involved, solicitors.
That's right.
And it's all about the estate and about splitting and, but basically back to money again.
Of course.
Who gets the house, who gets the
it's all about
the children.
It's all about money. We've all been tricked to, to worship this thing what is man-made. And, there were times when there was no money involved, wasn't around, and people were getting married and were happy. But now, and also, all you needed was 3 witnesses.
That's right.
And now they're getting solicitors involved and all that. It's like they were saying they do not trust the human race. The only people who are trusted are the solicitors, these lawyers.
That's right.
But the rest of you, we cannot take you at face value.
Because whenever you do like your own, paperwork, say, whatever you want to call it, legal paperwork, the system will always say, that's no good and you haven't done it the proper way. But if that is the case, what are they worried for? If you haven't done it right, why are they saying it? Because obviously you've done it right, but they'll always try and say, no, you didn't get the notary seal, or you didn't go through the solicitor. But as you said, it just takes two or three witnesses.
2 or 3 good witnesses, good men, as it says in the good book.
Definitely. And to me, it's just, it's been very corrupted.
Yeah, of course. The reason why, because they want money.
Definitely.
If you get a contract drawn with 2 or 3 good men to sign it, the same for births, marriages. I would even say any document, but because
you're right, that's a good point.
Because the state isn't making any money off it,
and they don't recognise it, do they?
They do not. Well, they do not want to recognise it. They don't want to. They want their stamp on everything because they want you to be, their lackey, their slave. And if you had a birth certificate which was signed and drafted out by yourself, there's no reason for you to put that you belong to a country. You could say you belong to the world. You're a child of God. Hence, you can travel anywhere.
Definitely.
You're not a citizen.
Because obviously, being a citizen means you're a slave on the ship of that.
Exactly, you're a slave on the ship, and the ship is the name of the country.
Yeah, it's something else that what they've done, really and truly. But
yeah, we've been tricked.
People are realizing now, and we obviously they're alternatives are out there now. So every day we're
of course. So. There's people waking up, which is good, but with most people, they're just still chasing mammon, still worshipping that god called money.
Because you make a good point, Diamond, that instead of using their documents, like we should all be just making our own, basically, just going through the route of 2 or 3 witnesses, and ultimately we're all sovereign. So
yeah, of course.
Instead of using their bits of paper and whatever they tell you, like, oh, this is no good, and whatever, just tell them this is what it is, and that's it.
You're right, because being a citizen, signing that birth certificate ended the child's freedom.
Definitely, it made them responsible for this fictional national debt.
Exactly.
And created the legal name which puts you in the legal system, which is again it's another big fraud. Um,
So yeah, so marriage is on a whole good, but as we say, with the system, you're marrying a system. You're collecting more paperwork, more
Definitely.
more identification, more hassles. Um, especially if things went wrong.
Because it seems like marriage itself isn't a bad thing, but when the system gets involved in it, and
Yeah,
as we said, makes it commercial, makes it a business transaction, instead of it being something sacred, something special, that's something that a lot of people are not really thinking of, and again, pretty similar to what we were talking on the last episode in regards to celebration days and obviously weddings. We didn't really touch on it, but obviously they're very expensive, and
exactly,
again, it's
exactly.
another business transaction. So it's like, okay, there's a whole industry devoted to weddings, things
Well
like
said.
wedding dresses and things that again are not really necessary. And a lot of people feel if they have a small wedding, it's like it's not good, so they spend years saving and working to have this dream wedding, which is only
Well,
for one day. And
one th this is I've heard so many people say that these people who get married and have a wedding, it's their day, it's the best day of their life and it's their special day. And it sort of reminds me, coincides with Christmas and it's a special day and they're not living.
you're right,
Every day's a special day.
definitely.
And you can't, it's I would even feel embarrassed to say Christmas is better than December the 29th or October the 1st or any other day
Definitely.
because we've been granted life. And, we're people seem to forget that they have life and they're alive and kicking and healthy, but they choose to neglect all that and
Totally.
jump on the bad bandwagon of governments and get into their nonsense of how they should be thinking,
Yeah,
who they should be fighting and hating,
definitely.
what they should be celebrating. So even buying a ring as well to
Yeah, that's
prove that you love someone is like a Christmas present. You do not really need to show your love. Is you cannot see. You do not need something material to show love.
you're right.
That
Yeah,
that's the biggest con going.
definitely. Yeah, that's a big time pagan thing. The rings.
Yep,
Obviously people spend a fortune on just that alone. Things like engagement ring with the rock and the wedding ring, and basically you're putting yourself in the ring, because it
exactly.
ain't with the state. It ain't a nice place to be, and obviously a marriage contract is one of the toughest contracts as well out there. It's pretty solid. Again, a lot of this nobody's really thinks about, but you are entering into the ring, with the
Yeah,
system,
of
which
course, of course.
but I mean, obviously, let's not drag ourselves down with that. That there are positives and as well, and it can be very very amazing and best thing that that's ever happened to people. So
Yeah,
obviously,
I believe so too, Superb. And saying that, I just wish peace and love on the whole planet.
definitely,
I would rather see peace and love to our fellow man and sister, and everyone is treated good, and everyone working together, than to see anyone married. I'd rather see that, to be honest.
definitely,
For us to get on and work together, and no one giving us barking us orders.
yeah,
I would sacrifice people. People not being married for freedom away from government and tyranny.
definitely. I mean, obviously, um, being married is obviously you're married to another person, but I think if we could all unite together, the people, and have better relationships with each other, as you said,
That would
brothers and sisters.
that would be the real marriage.
That exactly. That would be a real
That would be
marriage.
the real marriage of the human race. What
Yeah,
needs to happen
definitely needs to happen. Definitely.
for us to move forward? But you know, collective individuals marrying and behaving like big shots. Oh, look what I've got! Look what I've got! Look at my ring! Look at my house!
Do they have the Blu-ray player out?
Exactly.
All right. So anyway, I'm going to give some contact details for our show. Obviously, we hope the listeners are enjoying it, and please do give us feedback and suggest any topics that you'd like us to bring up. Obviously, our email address is superbdiamondrange@gmail.com. We've got our website now, which all our podcasts are at, which is superbdiamondrangepodcast.com. We're on Twitter as well, which is our Twitter name is superbdiamondra or superbdiamondra, and you can also catch us on iTunes. We'll have links below on the YouTube page. Yeah. So, any final thoughts, Diamond? Or
Yeah, it was an interesting show. Quite enjoyed. Yeah, quite enjoyable. Hope we haven't offended anyone, because we do not mean to do that in any way. But marriages as a whole, pretty good. Just be true to yourself always, and love one another. And just want to say thanks for the listening, and look forward to next week,
definitely.
where we have our first guest,
That's right.
the
Master T.
legendary Master T.
Brilliant.
So that's going to be a blast.
Yep, definitely. Anybody that's interested in spirituality, it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, he's up there. He's amazing. Amazing man. So thanks again. Superb. It was great to talk with you today.
Yep, same to you, Diamond. Look forward to doing it again next week.
And I wish you a good week. And thanks for all our listeners. And stay blessed all.
Yep, and peace out.